Brian here with Dark Rangers Inc. And today we're going to do my long-awaited review of the Pegasus NYX-101. Now, as we know, harmonic drive mounts are some of the hottest topics out right now, and this is one of the highest capacity versions with features like a built-in power saddle that kind of set it apart from some of its competitors like the AM5. They have come out with a newer version, but even that doesn't stack up to the capacity and features of this. I'll also go over some of the trials and tribulations I've had with this and why it's taken so long to get the mount out. You'll see the unboxing footage. I have a big heavy coat on. It's because we started our conversation together in about January and it took till March to get the gear, and then I did run into some issues. So this is actually the second mount head. So I'll go through all that just for full transparency, but I also will cover off on all the highlights and features and things that I do like about the mount and how this is really solid, and then wrap it up with my overall recommendation on who I think this is best for and whether or not you should either go to this directly, or if you're thinking about upgrading from a lower capacity mount to a higher one, or maybe adding a second one to your arsenal, would this be a good fit in this category of strain wave mounts or harmonic drive mounts as they're known? Well, the stuff from Pegasus came in, so we'll just go over what came and then obviously dive a little bit deeper into the review. I'm sure I'll be doing the review quite a bit after this unboxing, so I'll have time to thoroughly test it. We've got our new designated unboxing table now. This is its second video we're gonna share it in. And then we've got the unboxing cigar today is gonna be my father's Flor de los Antilles Maduro. So I noticed that I pretty much always smoke a cigar, and I've gotten questions on which ones I smoke during my unboxings or when I'm outside doing a video, so I thought I would share. So I reached out to Pegasus a while ago, and I thought that they would be a good partner to the channel because they offer a lot of products that fill gaps for anybody looking to switch to Nina and obviously enter an alternative to the closed ecosystem that we were using in the past. So here we have the case for the tripod. I do believe we're going to have the NYX-101 or the NYX-101, which is a great lightweight alternative to the AM5. It has about a 50% weight advantage, and so hopefully it will also give us a little bit more accessibility in using bigger scopes like the SCA 260, which is sitting right behind the camera, which did give the AM5 with a 44-pound capacity a hard time. I go ahead and just put it to the go home position from the ASI Air. Okay. So it has a similar carbon fiber tripod. I do believe this one is rated for a little bit higher capacity. They're both, right around 100 pounds. It does have a little bit different top plate, so we'll see how that all connects. And then I'm pretty sure we have one of their power boxes, which is an awesome accessory to a mini PC, which I do have one of the Melee mini PCs, even though the predominant operating system I'm going to be running will be the Eagle 5S, but obviously those don't grow on trees, they're not cheap, and this is a lower cost alternative, although if it were up to me, I would obviously just run several of the Eagles because I do like some of the additional features. But I think it makes the channel more versatile if I can showcase some other ways to get into the system. Here is obviously the box. We've still got quite a bit of other stuff in there, so we'll set that to the side. All right, inside the mount container, I have it backwards. We're gonna have obviously the mount head. It does come with a bunch of different cables and accessories, which is really nice. Looks like we have a USB 3.0, some either 2.5 or 2.1 12-volt cables, and then a power supply with an actual twisting locking mechanism, which is nice. And obviously we've got the mount head itself, which is almost a little too well packed in here. All right, here we go. It does have a couple of 12-volt outs in it, which is really nice. Similar to what comes on the Eagle, the one that actually you can twist so you guarantee the connection. And then this one does have the power saddle. So this one has a PC connection with the USB 3.0, 2 USB 3 ports, 2 USB 2 ports, the 12-volt in, and then 4 12-volt outs. as well as being the saddle for your scope as well. And then on the back, it has 2 adjustable 12-volt outs. So you could pretty much run your entire rig with just this and a mini PC if you wanted. I do believe it's probably enough. We'll kind of test that theory in a little bit. But between the 2 12-volt out here, we have another PC and an Ethernet, and then the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 USB ports, and then 6 12-volt power ports, 2 of which being adjustable. That's a pretty robust system. And then even more cables, which is awesome. So I love that they give a bunch of accessory cables so you can do everything the right way. The altitude adjustment knob is kind of unique. It's off to one side. It does look like it has a dial for altitude, and then it has the traditional azimuth adjustments, and it does have a nice bubble level. So all in all, looking pretty good. And we'll set that aside for now while we go through what else is included in our little care package. It's kind of exciting that I don't 100% know. I think I know what's coming, but makes it kind of interesting. So, oh, cool. We have the Falcon rotator. This is their version 2. You can tell it has a different color blue, and I think it says V2 on it. So this is the camera rotator. This will allow Nina to tell the camera to rotate throughout the night if you're going to multiple positions, or just to avoid some of those artifacts you get in stacking when you don't have perfect rotation alignment. So it has a nice big opening, so it should be able to work with pretty much any camera. And I'm actually gonna leave it in the bubble wrap for now. Okay, we'll set that to the side. And then, oh, the focus cube. So it looks like it has an easy HC, so hand controller, temperature sensor, and a USB-C. Otherwise, kind of similar to the other ones that you've seen. And then it has a really nice mounting bracket set up with several different cables to power it. And I believe the temperature sensor is included. Let's see what we got here. This is the ultimate power box. Most things in astrophotography look way bigger in person. This is probably one of the first that actually looks smaller. When you see it, because of all the ports it has online, it looks like it's gonna be huge, like almost the same size as an Eagle, but this is like half a size, and it's actually very lightweight, which is kind of nice. So it has an A, B, and C for dew heaters, a 12 to 24 adjustable output. Now 12 to 24 volts, that is pretty unique. It's got a relay, a port for the motor at 3 to 12 volt adjustable out, and then it looks like a total of 8 USB, 6 of which are USB 3.1, a PC, a temperature sensor, and then obviously a Wi-Fi antenna, and then holy cow, on the output section for power, we have 8 with this yellow style, which I do have one of these to charge my battery that I take to a dark sky site. So it has that type 2, the yellow. I'll put below what that's actually called because I don't know off the top of my head. But when they say the ultimate power box, they are not kidding. I mean, you could run like 3 different scopes off of this at the same time. This is really crazy and a lot more compact and lightweight than I thought. Looks like they probably did include, yeah, power supply, which is nice. And again, with the thread-on cable, I really like this. It prevents, it from coming undone or getting loose, and then it ruins your whole imaging session if you fall asleep and a cable comes undone. Boom, you're done for. So it's one of their nice big beefy 10 amp power supplies. They use 10 amp, whereas a lot of other ones use 5, so that's really nice. It gives you some power to spare. Not that the motor and mount necessarily needs it, but if you're powering multiple items off of it, like you would be with the saddle, it's nice. This looks like some of the hand controller, and then the mounting plate or an additional mounting plate. I'm guessing this is a hand controller. Let's see though. Oh no, this is the extension pier. So I don't typically love these kinds, so we'll see how this goes. I tend to like more of the solid setup. These are definitely aluminum and not plastic. So we'll see how it goes. And then it does look like it has that yellow power connector that I was talking about. So it gives you another way to power the mount off of that ultimate power box, which is nice. So I think that's it. We'll obviously dive into a much deeper analysis of it because unboxing videos are never super informative or exciting. All right, here we are with the full Pegasus setup. We obviously have kind of the star of the show, the NYX-101, and we have the biggest scope I have sitting on top of it. I figured what better way to test and compare it to the AM5 than to put the scope that the AM5 couldn't lift and got stuck when trying to slew in full speed in the meridian type position. So this does come with a hand controller. I have it over there. It allows you to set a lot of the different settings. The limits on this that it came with were pretty much perfect. So the scope goes, till it's straight up and gives you still several inches before it's going to hit anything. So it pretty much came good to go. You can set the time, the date, and then the longitude, latitude, all that stuff. But it seems like everything pretty much can be handled through the Unity software and through Nina. Unity is the software that Pegasus came up with. The Unity, it connects the power box with the focus cube, and then obviously the mount and any other accessories. So I'm gonna take this apart and take it outside. I did a mock setup in here because I'm waiting for my latest telegizmo come, number 3 now, so that I had something to put over this. I didn't want to move it all outside because there was some rainy weather in between the time I got it and now, but it does look good for the next 2 nights, so I definitely want to get this outside. But first, I want to split this apart. Carrying this whole thing out is possible, but probably not the best move. So while I do that, I figured I'd show you how I have it all set up, and then I'll take it apart and bring it outside. So the way that they really want you to do everything is to run as much as you can through the power box. So essentially we have that up here. So basically we have everything running through the power box in terms of connection and power. So it has different power supplies. Those are the 2 variable 12 ports. We've got a ton of non-variable 12 ports, as well as the XT60 power in. So that's how we're actually powering it, and we're powering it off of the mount. So as you can see, we've got the 10 amp power supply there. It's feeding directly into the power in, and then it's another screw connection going out to the XT60. The only cable I have going into the Melee is just this PC cable. So there's a PC slot right here, and essentially that blue cable, I have it just connecting into a USB 3.0. I still have my dongles from the keyboard and mouse from when I set up Nina and everything. And then everything else is going into all of the USB slots for the power box. And then we can set up all the different features with the electronic autofocuser. I do have a camera rotator that's on the way, so that's going to go right in between the off-axis guider and the focuser. That way the camera can rotate automatically. And then, of course, the mount itself. They also have this really nice black plate here that's basically just over 1 foot long, so you can mount both the PC and the power box right on there. I have it on the existing dovetail, but if you had 2 scope rings, you could use it to just sit on top of the scope rings. There are a ton of different slots and connections, and the Melee actually comes with 2 screws that go up through it, but they're kind of short. The Pegasus thing actually gives you some more as well. And then this is the spider setup. I'm only using half of it. And when I get it out there, I'm gonna loosen these up and route whatever cables I can through there just to help hold them in place. And then if you do have certain PCs that aren't the Melee, if you have all 4, you can actually stack the squares type mini PCs right on top, and then it all stays connected and takes up a much smaller footprint. But for now, this is the way I'm going to run it, and so we just need to get it disconnected and take it outside. All right, the sun is setting and we have the much anticipated maiden voyage of the NYX-101 by Pegasus. And of course we had to give it the hardest scope in the arsenal, the heaviest, longest focal length. It was about 41 pounds when it gave the AM5 a pretty tough run for its money. We've added a little bit more weight with the Nina setup and the ultimate power box. We've got it up on the tripod that it comes with, and only 3 of the 6 for the pier extensions. I did order the other 3 to give it a little bit more torsional strength. I think for a normal scope, 3 would be fine, but I would like to have all 6 just for a scope like this. And hopefully though, with this situation, I did throw some sandbags on there because I do have a 35-pound kettlebell in the pouch on that scope. And then the G11, of course, is a 35-pound tripod. So we have some 25, 30-ish pound sandbags on the legs. It is kind of windy tonight, so we'll see how it does. And I'm looking forward to hopefully a successful night of imaging. We've got it all connected up and I've got the iPad running inside. So tonight will be the first time I've also tried to image with 3 different scopes at the same time. Should be a handful, but I'm excited to check it out. All right, jumping back into the future, you could see my experience setting it up and the initial use of it. And the first mount that I got did run well for about 3 or 4 weeks. And then I started having some problems with it and ultimately reached out to Pegasus to try to diagnose and ultimately solve it so I could get the review out and fix any issues that were with it. Unfortunately, April must have been really busy. I know there was NEAF as well as the eclipse, and then even into May. It took till kind of towards the middle or end of May before I could finally get on a video conference call with them and start to diagnose. They gave me several things to try, from updating the firmware to taking this whole back plate out and checking the connections on everything. And ultimately, what ended up happening after trying to diagnose and solve for about a week or 2 is we realized we did have to replace the mount. So then we had to wait for the new one to come out. And now, obviously, once I got the second one, since the first one did work for a while and then ultimately fail, what would happen is it would have just a complete, it would call it a mount failure, and the scope would be like just sitting, and the motor basically would have given up, and it was basically resting on the tripod legs, which is obviously not something you want to wake up and see. I was kind of horrified the first time it happened. But ultimately, with the second version, I haven't had any issues. It does perform pretty well, especially with a larger capacity scope like the SCA 260 that you guys saw on it. I'm able to get guiding in the 0.4 to 0.6 range pretty consistently. If you guys watch my G11 review, where I kind of compare a lightweight German equatorial versus harmonic drive mounts, the one area where this one obviously is not going to perform as well as a German equatorial mount is under super windy conditions, and that's not because of the mount itself, that's just the weight. Lightweight tripods and lightweight mounts are not as good in the wind as something that's heavy. Obviously, heavier objects are going to be more stable. But if you are somebody that has to have a lightweight option for whatever reason, maybe you're mostly taking this on the road, maybe you have to take it in and out, or maybe you just have lifting capacity issues, this is going to be a good option with more features than most. If you're looking to run Nina and want to have a power saddle to run your computer, it's also going to save you some money. And speaking of cost, if you average out the dollar per pound of capacity, it's actually right in line with the AM5 and some of the other options that have come out from the mainstream companies. Obviously, we've had a couple of more off-brand companies that have come out and their prices are a little bit lower, but of the big name companies, it is priced right in line. So it is more expensive than the AM5, for example, but it also has a much higher capacity. It doesn't sound like a lot, but the difference between 44 and 66 pounds is substantial. As you can see, it's the difference between me being able to use every scope I have on it and not. So I do think if you're somebody that needs a high feature, high capacity harmonic drive mount, it is going to be a good option. Regarding Pegasus in general, because of the issues with communication and just some other things, I will not be adding them permanently to the partnership list. They were kind of one of the last brands that I did add on. And so going forward, I do think they make a good product, and I don't want that to deter you if it's something that you're interested in buying. But personally, it just won't be a company that the channel will be working with long term. I do recommend it overall. This one has been working now for about 4 or 5 weeks, and hopefully it will continue to work in the months to come. If there are any updates, I can of course put that out to you guys. But if you are in the market for something like this, please check out Agena Astro. They're gonna get it to you super quick. Using the link does help out the channel. If you guys do have any questions or comments about the mount, please go ahead and leave them below. I'm happy to help. I know a lot of you guys did reach out when you found out that I got it, and I did recommend that several of you buy it, and several of you did before I had any issues. The recommendation was kind of like, well, I've had it, it's working good so far, and I know a lot of you guys did go out and actually buy it. I do think that the issue was because somebody else had used the mount head prior to me using it, and it wasn't necessarily because of the mount itself. So I didn't want to be unfair to Pegasus and blame them for something that potentially was misuse from the prior content creator who used it. And I know for a fact that they actually used a power supply that was underpowering the mount. And so we know from the last few episodes where I've talked about stuff like that, that underpowering a mount can be just as bad as overpowering it. We really want to make sure that we use the proper power supply. And so I did want to give Pegasus a fair shake on the review and not necessarily blame them for something that might not have been their problem. So although this is the second head, I am somewhat confident that because I've been able to now use this one for a significant period of time, that it's probably not the mount itself, and that if you guys do grab one, it will work fine for you. So hopefully this was helpful. As always, guys, until the next one, clear skies.